Hello, and welcome back to Goalie Interference as Mike puts the Golden Knights jersey in the back. Jason on the show right off the top today because we're not messing around today.
Nope.
No messing around.
Nope.
Heavy duty.
Yes,
heavy
straight
machinery.
We have many plans of what we're going to talk about. Obviously, the main event is the Jack Eichel situation, the potential of Mark Stone being out for the entire season. There's a lot of main event possibilities here going on, but we're going to start in a different way. We're going to start with the last two games. We'll maybe talk a little all-star. Oh, I'm getting booted out now, huh?
Oh, my goodness.
Hello?
You still look beautiful to us.
You're
we have
there.
You.
Am I still here?
You are, unfortunately.
All right. I don't know what's going on with my internet. Hopefully it improves as we go on. But Mike, I'll throw it to you first. Give me just your sense of kind of this two-game stretch. A game that I thought they didn't play very well and won. Many people disagree with me. And then a game that I think universally everybody thought they did not play very well and got their butts kicked in.
Yeah, they got their ass kicked in the second game by Calgary. I don't think it can get any worse than that. That's the only way to describe that one. I thought that the Oilers game, I thought Laurent Brossoit was outstanding, especially early on, first half of that game. And then the Golden Knights played pretty well from there. So I don't think that game was a total wash by any stretch. You're definitely playing against a team in Edmonton that's fragile, and it showed. But I was impressed in how the Golden Knights were able to defend against Edmonton. And I mean, that first period would look tough, man. It looked like a lot of these teams coming out of the pause. The pause isn't the right word. I'm sorry. We have so many chances in the last 3 years to stop playing hockey. I don't know what to call them anymore. The pause, the Olympic break, the All-Star break, the summer, the bubble, the hangover. Anyway, I thought they played half a game against the Oilers and they played no game against the Flames. That's what it comes down to. And I thought Brossoit was the reason why they were able to get out of Edmonton with that win. And I don't know if it would have been a 0-0 shutout, but man, he was really good. And then last night, man, just the wheels are off. They looked the Golden Knights looked tired. They looked completely rattled in their own zone. They're missing assignments. The players that were good the night before, like I think Shea Theodore's been on a real nice run and played some pretty good hockey. That was not last night. Nick Waugh had his every 3 to 4 games period where you just go, Nick, man, you're better than that. You know what I mean? And all those players know it. We can sit in here and be critical, but they know that. And they didn't have a prayer, dude. Like that Gaudreau line with Lindholm and Tkachuk, they look like the Globetrotters, man. And they're good. Like that line is good, but they shouldn't look like that. It was pretty tough to watch, man. It was tough. What do you think, man? Give me your impressions, because I know you didn't like that Edmonton game at all, really. So I thought they did a pretty good job of at least containing McDavid, if nothing else, and Draisaitl pretty well, which is most of that team. So give me your impressions on it, Ken.
I think the first period of the first game, the Edmonton game, was an absolute disaster. I think they were a mess that was one of the worst periods I've seen them play. And I know they got out of it 2-0. And I thought the problems that we were seeing was the way that they were getting through the neutral zone, Edmonton getting through the neutral zone, what they were doing in the offensive zone, how often they were getting these chances directly in front of the goal. It's a lot of the issues that concern me in what can potentially trip this team up going forward is that they don't defend all that often. So to then see it be what I'm sticking with the term, it's a soccer term, but it's a smash and grab. It's a situation where you're getting your butts kicked and you smash and grab your way to 2 goals. Then in the second period, they get a power play straight off the top of it and don't score on that, give up a really dangerous chance that should have been 2-1. it turns around into being a 2-on-1 the other way with a defenseman in Pietrangelo. He zings one by. I don't think Smith was all that good in that game. Could have helped him out a little. And now they start getting their legs and coming into the game when no shit you're going to come into the game. It's 3-0. And you're playing a team that's going to present you opportunities later. I saw the slot shot numbers and the odd man rush numbers. All of that was after they were up 3-0. So to me, they got there in a way that they should not have gotten there. And then I thought they played the same way in the second game, and the team they were playing was crisper. Calgary was a lot crisper. They played differently. They're a different style of team, but they were crisper. The good things out of the Edmonton game is the way that they block shots. Their sticks were active. They were in front of shot lanes. They were trying to keep the most dangerous players out of the dangerous areas, and they did that for the second half of the game. Then it crops right back up the next night, and they get destroyed by a top line. They get destroyed by Mangiapane and Backlund and players that are guys that you're going to be seeing down the road. So to me, this needs to be a wake-up call, and the next game is a big one because it's another high-end team that they've got to be able to defend. This team must defend. I will stand on that podium until I die. This team with this group has to defend, and this week was not defending until they were up 3-0.
Don't disagree with you at all. Did that game against Calgary not look like a bubble game in some ways to start, especially, and as it went on? Like, you see the shot total start to rise for the Golden Knights, but where'd they all come from?
Yeah, way outside.
I mean, like, yeah, Markstrom made some good saves, but how many clear breaks? You know, I mean, he makes a breakaway save on Nolan Patrick at a big time. I'll give that for sure. That's right at the end of a period, but it's already in the bag for him at that point. Like, it was 4-0, I think, when he makes that save. You know, so like for Markstrom, all he's playing for is the shutout. It wasn't even playing for the win. He just needed a warm body in the net. Yeah.
The one thing you guys haven't addressed is that it's a relatively successful trip. I mean, you're playing two desperate teams that have to catch up on the Golden Knights. I think what we saw from Edmonton is that they're really not a good team. There's massive holes. McDavid doesn't look like McDavid. He doesn't. I don't want to say he doesn't look as motivated as he has in the past, but I'm sorry, I didn't see him on Tuesday night, and that's a concern if you're an Edmonton fan.
Yeah, and I don't know how true this is or not, but I mean, he only went in fastest skater at the All-Star competition. He's the best player on the planet, and he's not doing much stuff. And even in skater, he wasn't quick. Like, I mean,
he actually addressed that.
I think you always hear this though, like, hey, there's rumbling, somebody's nursing something. Well, I mean, Mark Stone played in it too.
It's funny because McDavid actually addressed that, and he said he was a little disappointed. He goes, "Why am I always in this fastest man competition when I should be on other things?"
Well, great. You're the greatest player on earth. Wait till we get to South Florida and we're going to have a stick handling competition around live alligators, Connor. Go for it then, buddy, because that's really going to show your worth. They're going to have Burmese pythons at the blue line. You got to hop over. They're going to have 12-foot gators at each dot. They might even chuck some cottonmouths out there, man. It's going to be so Florida. You're going to have some raging meth head come out of the stands. Like, it's just going to be bananas in Florida. I'm being completely ridiculous right now. But
will you be there?
Yeah, I will be there. Yeah, and I hope you guys tag along. But this is an odd stretch for the Golden Knights. You know, like, you get these two standalone games in Western Canada, and it's like, if you can't get up and find the energy for these two games when you've been off for that long, that concerns me too. I don't care that they're back to back.
They clearly didn't in game 2. Do you feel like they did in the group of games combined?
No. That's what I mean. Like, how do you not have the physical and mental energy for two games that are a week after you played one of the worst teams in hockey in Buffalo that was an absolute laugher? You know, like, that concerns me, because now they got another week until they go in against an absolute wagon in Colorado. Then you're going to really see how things are, you know? And honestly, I was surprised that they went with Brossoit right off the bat in the first half of this. And I know the thinking, I know the reasoning is usually you want to play your ace in the second game and blah, blah, blah. But out of that long of a break, I think you want to play your guy. to me. And I don't want to overthink the goalie selection. Both goalies were going to play no matter what, but I was surprised to see Leonard go that second game. But I don't know. To me, it looked like Calgary was a team that's going to win the Pacific more so than Vegas. And that's not just because they won the game. It's because they utterly dominated Vegas. And like, they're just, I mean, the Golden Knights, how many penalties have they generated lately? Like they're not playing hard enough to generate power plays against good teams. And like Calgary, that team can bully you if they want. Lucic, Richie, Coleman, like that team can play heavy, and they got a guy behind the bench that doesn't care. It's 6-0, and he's trotting out his top power play at the end of the game. You know why? Because he doesn't care.
You didn't even mention Tkachuk.
I didn't. And he was sick. Yeah. So,
and going forward with Sutter, I mean, this is a guy who's owned DeBoer, and I think this last night was a little bit of a reminder that, hey, we're still in this, and look who's coaching this team.
Yeah, and I wonder what that'll play like when they come to T-Mobile. You know, I got to look and see when Calgary comes again into Vegas, but they've been terrible in Vegas, and they don't show up again until they got one game left in Vegas, April 14th. Calgary does.
You're better than me.
Oh, I'm fast hands. Fast hands. Like a rattlesnake.
Trying to help you out there while you were talking.
But you know, Calgary's been just trash in T-Mobile, and they've been amazing at home. But I don't put a lot of stock into that come playoff time. You know, I think Minnesota was kind of like that last year, that the Golden Knights couldn't. I think they were boogeyman, and they finally got them. You know, so I didn't notice Mark Stone at all. Now he was out. You know what I mean? I didn't notice him in the first game. It's like, well, I guess now we know why, and I guess that's kind of a natural segue if we want to keep going in that direction.
Before we go into that segue and we get into the main event of the day, let's tell you that this goalie interference. Oh, I screwed it already up. Damn, it was going to be good. Let's tell you that this episode of Goalie Interference and all episodes of Goalie Interference are brought to you by the Jimerson Law Firm. The Jimerson Law Firm is one of Las Vegas's preeminent law firms specializing in high-stakes business, civil, and family litigation. When winning matters, seek out the Jimerson Law Firm. And when dinner matters, seek out the Jimerson Law Firm. Fantastic dinner that Jim Jimerson brought us to.
I got to tell you, Jim Jimerson, I know you're watching.
He is.
You're a beauty, dude. And this is let's give everybody a little glimpse here, because you know goalie interference isn't all just about the Golden Knights. It's about our personalities and having fun and things. And like, I just want to give some background here that we sit down at dinner with Jim, and it's awesome. We're having fun, and we kind of get our backgrounds going. And you know, I played college hockey at St. Lawrence. Well, he went to Cornell. We find out, and then, oh my gosh, you yelled at me during my college career and probably threw a newspaper at me, Jim.
Fantastic.
And
Big Red.
Yeah, and you were probably
your wife.
You know, your entire student section chanted my wife's phone number, girlfriend at the time, and goalie's girlfriend, chanting names, and like, so Cornell is one of the coolest rinks in all of college hockey. And to find out that Jim Jimerson was there, and actually we crossed over, was really cool. And I don't think I ever beat that team. So he's definitely got one up on me there. But I tell you what, man, it was fun. And it was also fun to see everybody at Giordano's Pizza, man. Like, I probably trucked a tire one. Oh, well, hello, Chris. It was great to see you there. And I think I buried a whole traditional there because it was that good.
And I think I have one in the fridge still.
Oh my God, they brought us so much pizza. Oh,
yep.
Eric, the GM, too much pizza. Next time, like 4 less pizzas. It was too many, but it was amazing. I still have some.
Yeah, it was really a great week in Vegas, though, and getting to meet a lot of people. And I know, like, for us, just hanging a bit was really cool as well. And yeah, dude, that was fun to get to meet a lot of people in person and suck a couple grease wheels down. And
to answer this question, no, it has not. No, this mystery has not been solved. This person who is involved in the mystery maybe one day will tell me about it, but that mystery will remain a mystery. And that's why you have to attend our events to know what the F we're talking about. All right, It's time to talk about it. I just wrote like 1,700 words about it, and my conclusion about it was I don't even know what to think. Here's what's happening. Jack Eichel is out of the no contact jersey. He's been cleared for contact. That happened on February 5th. He practiced on the 7th. The Golden Knights played on the 8th and the 9th. Today is now the 10th. It appears that he is fairly close to coming back. Greg Wyshynski tweeted out a rumor that he had been hearing that the target date was the next game. I'm not sure how accurate that's going to be, but it does seem to be that it's not that far away for Jack Eichel. Then Mark Stone gets injured again or is scratched or however you want to characterize that. Mark Stone is not available to the Golden Knights. So we get this news today, which happened earlier today on your show, Mike McKenna of Daily Faceoff. I say that at the beginning, and I screwed it up, and I didn't, and that's because I'm not very good at this at all. But you were on a show this morning with Frank Saravalli, and Frank kind of shared with everyone that the league is concerned, and maybe not concerned, they're thinking about the possibility that the Golden Knights are going to solve their cap problems by simply putting Mark Stone on long-term reserve or long-term injured reserve for the remainder of the season. They would not have to trade anyone. It would solve their entire problems. And here we go. There's so many different layers to this. I'll just again, I published my article. I think everybody, I hope you go and read that later if, after this, but let me just let you guys present your case of kind of what you feel about the potential option of Mark Stone being out the rest of the season, Jack Eichel going in, and then, of course, the idea of quote-unquote Kucheroving his way back in the postseason. How do you feel about it?
Jason, let's hear it. You go for it here.
All right. Well, this is going to be pretty unpopular. First of all, I don't believe it. Okay. So let's just say that the coincidence, it's not a coincidence. It was planned all along. Fine. If I'm a Golden Knights fan, I want my general manager, my organization to do exactly that. Okay. I mean, I got to be honest. I'm a Patriots fan. Yeah. Spygate happened. I don't care. They won a championship. Deflategate happened. I don't care. They won another championship. These are things that fans should care about. They just want their team to win. The details doesn't matter how they get there. However, the details in this Golden Knights situation has been public for, I don't know, a few months now, right? We all, just idiots, right? We assume this is how it would go down, and it seems like it is. My biggest concern is if this team doesn't win and they do cheat or whatever you want to call it, and they're 10 million over, what does that say about the front office? And shouldn't there be some sort of repercussions for them going above to make sure that their team is better in certain ways where it comes to they shouldn't be? So a competitive imbalance, I guess we could say. What does it say about the front office if they can't get it done with a team that's loaded? And I mean, frankly, I think that is a concern for me, is that I just don't know if this is something that if it goes down, it's definitely not going to be popular around the league. And I even think some Golden Knights fans are going to be upset with it.
Well, pardon my yawn there. It is 9:19 Central Time, but I'm an old man. By the way, we just adopted a dog today, so everybody adopt, don't shop. It's been a wild day in the household, so I'm can't wait to see what happens with this, because if they really stick Mark Stone on the LTIR for the rest of the year, there are so many teams in hockey that were so bullshit about Tampa, and they knew they couldn't get them. And I think there's teams that think they can somehow come after the Golden Knights and get them. And I don't think that's realistic. I think if they get him on long-term IR, you're not going to hear a peep, because there's no way on earth that the Golden Knights haven't been prepared for this if they put him there. Simple as that. Like I think they've done their homework and know what they can do with this.
What do you mean by get him?
Well, I don't mean by, but like what I mean by get him is like this will finally be the point where the league will have to step in and say enough. Like, teams have not been pleased, I guess is a way to put it, from the people I talk to in management around the league, with how Vegas has gone about business at times with players and dealings. And that's not me. That's not opinion. That's just people I talked to around the league. And so I think that there's kind of been a side eye at some points wondering, like, is this the tipping point where maybe they cross the line? And I don't think they will. This isn't a crossing the line. Like, if he's hurt, you put him there. I don't know. What's interesting is that Frank Seravalli this morning on our show said, hey, like, he may end up there, but Alec Martinez is pretty close to coming back. So now you've got both of them. And I'd actually heard like Martinez has kind of had a tough time with everything until recently. So I'm not sure. I know Martinez took practice and took contact with Eichel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how close Martinez is, but that could obviously change. That could obviously change really quickly too. So I don't think there's going to be a big blowback here from the fans at all. I don't.
Local
but I
fans.
really wonder what this team looks like, though, if you're going to put your captain on long-term IR leading into playoffs with Jack Eichel, who hasn't played in, 11 months of, he's kind of be the guy when he walks in. There's a lot going on here, I guess. And I don't know what the answer is because, man, if they get up against the wall, they have to make a move. And it's got to be somebody with some real cake on their contract.
Right.
So I'm sure they're doing everything they can to avoid that if possible.
Including potentially telling Mark Stone that he's going to have to massage a timeline. And I don't want to say outright lie, because if your back doesn't feel 100%, you're not lying that your back doesn't feel 100%. But like, this was an injury that happened. It was weird at the time. We didn't really understand what it was. I was there. I remember seeing it and thinking, oh no, I don't know what this is. Right. I initially had heard, because Pacioretty went out in the same game, and I have one of the sources that I have specifically told me, I've heard Pacioretty's is much less time than Stone's. That's the initial diagnosis they gave. It ended up not being that way at all. They didn't end up going to surgery. They ended up having this. He comes back 4 weeks later and plays 16 games, and he's played 26 games. He has 26 points. It certainly
all-star appearance
production, right? But now the timing of it just seems all too convenient to me that it's like,
that's the word.
What do you know?
That's the word. Play. Right. Convenient is the word.
And to me, it's like unsportsmanlike in a way. And I'm not going to sit here and say I had a great feeling about what Tampa did a year ago. I would have rather Tampa played the game fairly and got the way they got there fairly. They did not. And then celebrating it afterwards, wasn't a huge fan of that either. The T-shirts and the beers and whatever, and Kucherov being Kucherov. I didn't really love it.
I loved it. That run. Go on.
Loved it.
I
guess. I look at the way that this is set up, and I just don't have a good feeling about it. But then I also step back and I say, if I'm Kelly McCrimmon, if I'm Mark Stone, if I'm the doctor in charge of this, and all of this leads up to potentially me having a chance to have Mark Stone and Jack Eichel on the same team that's $90 million, I think I'm doing it.
It's an easy decision.
Man, like, dude, I come from a racing family, and if you're not cheating, you're not trying. Like, if you're not pushing the boundaries and exploiting every loophole in a rule book, that's exactly what this is in the CBA.
And you don't feel you like there's not a part of you that says, man, I wish they could just win this thing fairly and do it the right way.
Well, fair as cotton candy, my econ professor. I've told that story previously. I guess really every team could do this if they really wanted in some way. You may not have the good, bad fortune of having somebody who can go on LTIR like this at that price figure. But this is why teams run it up to the cap. It's why they played shorthanded last year. They want to have the best lineup they can. And I would, if I could, 100%, I'd do the exact same thing as Kelly McCrimmon if that's what ends up happening, even if you're massaging the situation. But there's a key word here, though, to what Frank Seravalli said this morning on our Daily Faceoff show, is that he said the word degenerative about Mark Stone. That makes me very nervous.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Mark's an old teammate of mine. He's a friend of mine. Like, he's a guy that I really look up to in this game and respect. And I know his teammates do. And he is a sick hockey player.
But he's also paid $9.5 million.
I'm looking beyond here with degenerate. That scares me. I hope for his sake that this is something that's not going to be bothersome. Like, long-term in life, much less a hockey career. And I think you also have to look at that contract. Like if this is degenerative, but it's a long-term deal, man, wow. Like this is like Nathan Horton territory.
Yeah.
If you remember him, like I was a teammate with his where he was trying to play in Columbus and he finally just said, I can't do this, man. My back is just wrecked. Yeah, David Clarkson, I think, same way. Like, I'm not sure if his was degenerative, but you get to this point where it's like, man, what are we going to get out of this? So just from that element, like,
well, then
man,
actually,
I hope this isn't like that for Mark. I really hope it isn't like that.
Well, Mike, just talk about the short time here. How good is he going to be once he comes back? Game 1 of the postseason. He's been off for what, 70 some odd days, Ken? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
How are they going to rely on their captain at that point?
Well, that's the part that I think is kind of up in the air more so than his quality of play. I think if he's ready to listen, if he goes on, and this is all conjecture, we don't know what's going to happen, but like if he really does go on LTIR until playoffs, that's a lot of runway. I have no doubt that he'll be ready to play by then. You know, it's basically like we're going to rest and make sure body is as good as it's going to get come playoff time. I just worry about the team really not having their captain. Like they looked rudderless last night against Calgary. And I know people can always say there's leadership in the room and everything, but like you got to have your guys there. I'm such a believer in having a captain around. And I know some people pan that and don't agree with me on it, but
Ken,
I know you don't, Ken, and that's fine, man. But I from being in a locker room, God, I think it's important. And I worry about that. Now, I do think if he's out long-term, you're going to really see, you know, Pietrangelo is going to be somebody to look to and everybody else that's there.
And they're still going to make the playoffs. It's not like they're in danger.
They better.
And then if he's magically back that day, 80 days from today or whatever it happens to be, like what is the concern that you didn't have your captain for the last month and a half, 2 months of the season? Like, why does it matter?
Yeah, I think it's I'd prefer to have my captain. I'll put it that way. And I think
it's Stone's $10 million over the cap rather than having Eichel.
No.
Like,
if that's a casualty in your only decision, that's what you do because you have to play Jack Eichel. You can't string Eichel out along until playoffs. Yeah, that guy needs to play the game.
Right.
Yeah,
he has to. From his own standpoint, from a team standpoint, he has to become integrated. You're running far less of a risk by sitting out Mark Stone. He knows this team. He'll still be there with the team. He may not be playing, but he can slide right back in. It's just like it all kind of makes a little bit of sense though that he's out of the lineup. Like Stone hadn't looked the same to me really in the last several games.
26 points in 26 games. He played in the All-Star game. He shot pucks at the Bellagio. He went on COVID and played right afterwards. I don't know. Like, I know people he doesn't look the same. Mark Stone never looks graceful. He always looks weird out there.
But man, he had 2 points in 5 games and he was dash about 10 in those games. Like, that's not Mark Stone.
No.
And I know they were against good teams and I know he was matching up against their top lines, but that's not Mark Stone. That's what surprised me.
Well, then how are you confident with him in the postseason? He's going to be up against the top lines, the best defenders. How are you confident going into the postseason when he sat for that long?
You're hoping that his body is healthy and you're hoping that if what we'd seen lately wasn't 100%. Like you can coast through an all-star game, no problem. Sauce pucks at the Bellagio easily. That's not hard to do. 3-on-3 hockey is no problem. If you've got a back problem, when you start putting hitting into it, all it takes is one pop in the wrong direction and then you really feel it. So that's the wild card there.
Well, what do you think St. Louis is going to do in game 1? What do you think the Wild are going to do in game 1? They're going to target Mark Stone.
Oh, I mean, every team's going to,
should be Eichel first.
They're going to target the Golden Knights in general because the Golden Knights, to me, are pretty soft, honestly. Like compared to in the past, like they don't have that same heaviness that they had, man. And I know we've gone over this previously. My idea of heaviness is 2 guys on the forecheck just relentlessly coming at you. And yes, there's hitting involved. We're not talking about absolutely burying dudes, but we're talking about going through people to get to pucks, 2 people pressuring hard, feeling them coming, that forecheck down your throat.
A Landeskog type?
Well, a St. Louis when they won the cup type, right? Like you looked at O'Reilly. Ryan O'Reilly plays heavy. Landeskog plays heavy. He's a good example, like you said, too.
I think second year Vegas is probably the best example of the Golden Knights doing it.
Yeah, and well, even through the last couple of years under Gallant, you still heard that. Like I'd hear from people around the league, and that's, I don't mean just Gallant. Okay, I'm not trying to go like total rear view mirror here, but the team was constructed differently then.
For sure.
You know, that's I'm looking at different eras just by coach because that's the way the team was constructed. I think that matters. Like St. Louis scares people around the league because they can play like that. They can rat it up. Who's ratting it up for the Golden Knights right now? Like, who's getting under a team's skin? Nobody.
I mean, maybe Pacioretty.
Yeah.
I mean, how about the game against Buffalo?
Got kicked out. Yeah.
So we didn't get to talk about this because we had the All-Star. I'm trying to think of who it was on Buffalo, but Pacioretty and him went at it the entire game. Something must have happened early on because those two were beaking each other and slashing. And if they didn't fight, they were going to get kicked out, and they got kicked out. Like I saw them chase each other off the ice twice. And
Casey Fitzgerald.
Yeah, Casey Fitzgerald. Like, listen, man, like
both New Englanders
Pacioretty might have the strongest forearms I've ever seen in my life. And I know he doesn't like fight a lot or anything, but that's a dude I'd really not want to make angry. He's so strong. And like Casey Fitzgerald, I'm like, really, man? Like you're picking a pretty good, you're not picking on Ben Hutton here or somebody, dude. Like Patches will throw you out of the building. He'll like suplex you out of the building, man. So,
but with his injuries, his past injuries, he's probably not going to fight. So
no, I don't.
In a sense,
so.
Fitzgerald. No, but I'm saying, in a sense, Fitzgerald is doing his job.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But like, I mean, Patches may or may not. But I thought he was going to kill him. I've never seen him like incensed like that, and it was awesome. Like I love seeing that level of passion. But like, this is where I do think that. I mean, if you look at Calgary, that team, well, not just heavy. Matthew Tkachuk, Milan Lucic, those guys will drive you crazy if they want to. They will win that mental game against you if they want to. And even I've said this before, like I actually think that I kind of think the Golden Knights misfired on Nick Cousins. Like if you had to take Nick Cousins or Matthias Janmark right now, a couple left wingers that, you know, each is going to chip in 25, 30 points, maybe 20, 30 points. Like
Nick Cousins wasn't doing that here.
But but this is what I mean. He only had like a 5-game tryout.
I know.
That's where I think that type of player to me would make a difference with the team. Yeah, they need somebody. And like everybody looks at Marshy and nobody around the league looks at Marshy as anything more than the annoying little brother. He's not a pest to other teams. You know, he's not going to knock. He doesn't come at you with the snot flying out of his nose all crazy, right? Like,
let me just pull this comment up because I want to get to this here. Stone hasn't been himself since coming back. Ken and Jason really reading into this too much. If Stone goes on LTIR, it's legit. It solves the cap space issue without any moves. First of all, to believe it's legit that he is out from today until exactly 78 days from now, like, I will sell you a bag of magic beans right now. Please buy my magic beans. That's ridiculous. Like, the timing is absolutely absurd. It makes no sense. There's no one who has so if you have any sort of cynicism in your body, which maybe some people do not, I have quite too much, but some people don't have any. But for people who actually are looking at this, you have to understand it's ridiculously unrealistic that this is timed up properly. That doesn't mean that they can't massage the timeline a week here or a week there or whatever. I do think it gets real weird when you think of the fact that Mark Stone got injured in game 2. He was out. They find out that maybe this is a degenerative back issue, and then they trade for Jack Eichel. Then they put the degenerative back issue back in the game for 26 games, making him have to be out here and there. And then the moment Eichel's ready, boom, degenerative back issue. He's out for the rest of the season. But he'll be back in 78 days exactly. Like, come on. Come on.
I don't disagree. How can anybody disagree with you on the time?
Come on.
At all. But there's no doubt in my mind that he's injured. It's just that timing aspect,
100%.
You know. So,
Mike,
man, it's gamesmanship. Period. But if this gamesmanship is legal, you take advantage of it. And until somebody,
it's not, though. Hang on, it's not. Like, I know people are looking at it that way. It is not. If Mark Stone can play a hockey game between now and April 29th or whatever the final game is, and he says he can't, then it is not gamesmanship. It is somewhat of lying and cheating. I understand that they can get away with it. There's no way they're going to prove that they can't get it, but it's not just this fair. That's the rules. Like, let's be honest here. He's going to have to lie.
If in worst case scenario, if they actually do get caught, what's the punishment? They still go into the playoffs. They still go into the playoffs, 10 million over, and Mark Stone and Jack Eichel, Riley Smith are all on the same ice.
It depends on when they get caught. If they were to get caught and they find out that Mark Stone's 100% on April 1st, they could potentially say, okay, waive contracts, delete contracts. You do what you have to do here. You have to get rid of $9 million of contracts, waive everybody you have to, and we'll see what happens. Like,
basically, Gary has the right to do anything, Mr. Bettman.
Right.
I mean, he fined the Blackhawks $2 million after one of their players was sexually assaulted by a coach, which was $2 million.
$2 million, yeah, come on.
Sure. Like their owner's got 3 Lambos in his basement for that. But
they're not going to be able to prove it as long as Mark Stone is on board with doing it. And if the Golden Knights wanted him to do it and he said he's going to do it and the timing seems to work out, it's not going to be all that difficult for him to push this back.
Yeah. And like, I know we've been going on this a lot, but I think when we distill this, and this is kind of what Frank was saying today on our Daily Faceoff show, is that will this be the point where there's enough outcry that they actually force the NHL to like call them out?
Yeah, next year though. After they run through the playoffs.
Whenever. But like, I think that's the point, is like, it's everybody in the league kind of felt like they got caught with their pants down with Tampa the first time it happened. And after that, it was like, we can't do that again. Like, nobody has the guts to do that again. And so
we're just going to sit here and say, that's fine. Take your cup. It's fine. And then they're going to make a rule that you can't do what they did in the past. Like, that just seems so weird to me. It's just
collectively bargained though.
On 73 home runs. Like,
it's collectively bargained. The players signed on the dotted line with this. You want to hear somebody I think's ridiculous? Dougie Hamilton said about how much he hated that the Tampa Bay Lightning were $18 million over the cap. And the next year he goes and signs a 7 or 8 year deal with New Jersey for $9 million. And it's like, Dougie, you would have never gotten that contract if contracts hadn't gone up across the board left and right and salaries weren't so high. So what do you want here? Like, do you want to get on an NHLPA call and actually like voice your opinion, or do you want to complain that's because you lost after the first round?
Or do you just simply want the rules to be followed by the spirit of the law of the rule? The LTIR rule is not there to allow teams to play $18 million over the cap in the postseason. That's not what they're for.
But there's a lot of rules that don't have any teeth in that rule book or in that CBA. There's things in there that are utterly teethless. That thing is written, and none of the players read that thing. They sign it, they don't read it. The only thing they read about is escrow. All they care about is the cap and escrow, and they don't look into any of the rest of this stuff. And this is what ends up happening.
Let me be a square here for a second. Yeah. Okay, Mike, you're a former professional hockey player, NHLer. What about the integrity of the game? There it is.
Thank you.
What about the integrity of the game? 2 years in a row, if the Stanley Cup is won by the Golden Knights in this process, you were saying it earlier, teams would love to take advantage of this, but it's only been the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I know people are going to laugh because I am being a square here. It happens in other sports, but how would you feel as a former NHL player?
I think they took care of the rules the best they could. And that's the way they're written, and be our own fault for not writing a better CBA. I'm sorry, man. I place a lot. Like, I look at that CBA and I can't believe some of the things that the players signed off on without even putting up a fight. And I was never involved in the process because I didn't finish a year in the NHL, even though I spent, I did 3 different CBAs at a different level and things. So, I mean, maybe this sounds a little selfish, but I honestly, man, if they win, I don't care. They win. That's the rules. They did it. I wouldn't. Maybe I'm just too. Bottom line,
I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I'm not going to, like I said in what I wrote today, I'm not going to sit here and tell people what way to side on. I don't know, for me, And I think a lot of people are going to fall in my category of like, I don't know how you can look at this and say that is how it should go down. Like here's an example. Back in like the 1960 World Cup or something, Argentina goes to head the ball, and as he goes to head it, the guy punches it with his fist. It's called the hand of God goal, and the ball goes in. Is that, if you're signing up, like, you'll take it. It happened, that you're like, we're not taking that World Cup away. But if I were to tell you the Golden Knights are going to win the Stanley Cup by some bullshit, are you in for that? Or would you rather they take their chance at winning it the fair way and the right way?
I think I guess I don't see this as zero sum, which makes it hard. I just find
in what way? What do you mean by that?
There's no impetus to not do this if you can, like there's no cheating aspect.
You need to finesse this in a way that is not right. And you know that.
Yeah.
It is why is it not zero sum? Like, either you believe the timeline or not. I don't.
You're really making me feel like a bad person for saying no, dude. You are. Like, I feel like a terrible human being, but like, I tell you what, I'm such a, like, when it comes to rules with sports, I'm such a to the edge guy that I just love seeing anybody find a loophole. I mean, I should have been a lawyer. I really should have. Jim Jimerson, buddy, I think I really blew it, man. I didn't take those LSATs, and this is really my calling. So maybe I'm taking every penny that I've saved currently. I'm putting it into a large growth fund, not Bitcoin, and I'm going to go to law school next year.
Oh, no,
but anyway, so we've been going on and on about this.
Like, before you go on, this is a fair point that Chris is making, that it is possible that they are using this to buy time at the moment, which I think would be perfectly fair to say, we're going to have Stone take 28 days off, 10 games. That's fine. And I don't think that, like, maybe I'm just, I don't know, maybe I'm the square now. I don't have a problem with that. Or maybe I'm a circle. I don't know. But if that's the case, that's fine to me. I just don't like the idea of going in this much over, effectively cheating the salary cap, circumventing the salary cap in what may be a legal way, but seems to me to be somewhat shady.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to cross the bridge when it gets there. But what Christopher made is a great point. And that's actually where I was trying to spin us to here. It was like, I really think, this deadline is crazy because it's every single year for the Golden Knights. It's been about, what can we get? What can we add to our team? How can we make ourselves better? And that's right. And they still may do that. They still may flip some players around, which I find fascinating. I think there's opportunity to do that if you're moving out a contract to get somebody in at a value.
Let me throw this one up there because it's interesting. So the credo, the comment says VGK is supposed to be different with all the credo and shit Foley spouts. Good job using shit in there. I think that's funny. But like, there is a military background to this, but there's also never retreat, always advance, which is like, find the rule and the rule. Like, that's there. I get it. Like, I don't even know what side I'm on. I get why they're doing it. I just can't sit here and say I like it or I feel that it's right. And I guess the easiest way I can put it is, as ridiculous as this sounds, I would rather the Golden Knights trade 2 players and go on and win the Stanley Cup, as opposed to playing this out and seeing what happens. I'd rather they try to do it the right way, and let's see if Jack Eichel can do it. Let's see if Robin Leonard can do it. I want a true competition. I don't want some bullshit.
Yeah, well, that's the way the NHL, a lot of the other NHL teams feel. That's the way.
Maybe I don't like the NHL in that regard, then, right?
We're going to see how it goes, for sure.
But for the record, I do agree with Mike. I am one of those guys that enjoy when a coach and organization is towing the line of the rules. To me, it's almost, again, I come from the Patriots background where everybody hates Bill Belichick, but Patriots fan loves him because he finds a way. He tweaks it a little bit to make it work for his club, but then he goes on to win. My biggest fear is this happens and the Golden Knights don't go on to win. And, I'm not quite sure where that puts them next year, because they weren't able to move Riley or whoever for some sort of asset building for next year. I just think it looks like a massive failure if this goes down and they don't win the cup.
anything less than the cup is considered a failure and a reason to burn it down. So I agree with you that it would be an even harder look to be this far over the cap and pull these circuitous chicanery.
That word.
How about chicanery? A little bit of chicanery.
I think the word you were trying to say was surreptitious.
Surreptitious. It would be surreptitious if this were to happen, because, or serendipitous even, maybe, or surreptitious.
That's a different word.
It is. It would be serendipitous for them to win if they did
use the surreptitious ways.
Yes, thank you.
By the way, I want to clarify on this one. There are rules that can be bent, and there are flat out rules that I don't have a better word than a word that I don't particularly want to use. Inappropriately having sexual context with is the word that I'm trying to use that I'm not going to use. You're
on your own here.
You're, doing that to the rules. I think this is an example of taking a rule and saying, this is here to be cheated. We are going to cheat this, and we are going to do it in a way that is using untruthful methods to get there. Other teams have done it. Tampa did it in the past. I didn't like it when Tampa did it. Now, I'm also a guy who I said Antonio Brown swung a bicycle at a guy. I love that he was on the Golden Knights. On the Buccaneers. I knew at some point it would end horribly, but I just don't see those as the same. Maybe that makes sense in my mind. I don't know. That's where I'm at. Let's go to something better, fun.
Yes.
I need a breakdown.
By the way, somebody had asked who the pest was.
What? Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, somebody on the comments had asked who the pest was against Vancouver, and I believe that was our favorite pest, Antoine Roussel.
Yes.
Yeah. Rooster.
Yeah.
Man, his family makes some amazing maple syrup. I like Rooster a lot.
Wow.
All right,
He was the biggest turd on the planet in the American League.
Still
the way he played, oh my God, just suckering guys and just awful. God, I loved playing with him. I did. I can't help it, man.
This is Jason in there. No, this is me. Wait, let's go back to you. Let's go back to
Would you look at that praying mantis?
This is Jason in there. That one looks pretty good. He's got.
You guys are both playing like a catcher, deep in the stance, horse stance, ready to ride that saddle. Glove in front of you, not taking up the glove side, prepared to catch in front of your body. That's what your chest is for. Were you wearing a tuxedo t-shirt, or is that the upper body padding?
I think that's the padding.
Yeah. Oh, it does look like a tuxedo t-shirt. You look like you're up front at a Leonard Skinner concert and you're hammered drunk. Wow. Well, good job, guys. I'm proud of you for standing in there. I've just never seen a horse stance like that, Ken. That was.
What do you mean by like? What? I don't think I've ever ridden a horse. Like what? What do you? Or I have, but
well, you're prepared for it. I mean, you're standing there like this.
Yeah. And
there's a horse underneath there.
I don't follow. I mean, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how to stand. I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know what to do with my body. My body's not large enough to block anything. I'm catching it in front. I understand that part of it. But to be honest, I was concerned about the nutsack. That was the main concern. My main concern was nutsack. And they were foam pucks. It's fine. But I really didn't want to take one to the nutsack. I just didn't.
Had you ever faced pucks before?
No, that's the closest I've ever been to playing.
I'm legitimately asking you though, did it give you any appreciation for it, or was it too fast to really comprehend it?
I said this on our podcast. I don't think I need more appreciation for how damn good hockey players are and goalies are. I really don't. I'm well aware that they're doing something that I have never been able to do, will never be able to do, and cannot even dream of doing. And I figured that out at about the age of 7. That's when I quickly turned from, guess what, Ken? You're not going to be a professional athlete. Why don't you do something different with your life? And I went to journalism school. And here I am doing exactly that. So I don't think, my answer is no. I had plenty of appreciation. Getting in there just made me think, thank God none of those hit me in the nuts.
Yeah. Well, you did one thing good. You went to Mizzou. That's a good one. Yeah, that was pretty interesting. Never seen much like that. Do you guys think the Vegas Golden Knights are going to end up on top of the Calgary Flames by the end of this season?
I do.
Well, actually, if you're telling me that Stone is out for the entire season and now they have to build chemistry around Jack Eichel, which I think will happen very quickly, but now you're telling me that a team, Calgary, who I think we all agree is a very competitive team, I mean, I think it's going to be tight. I really do. If there is no Mark Stone for the entirety of the regular season, I think it could be tight.
I think it'll be tight, but Ken, I agree with you. I think they still end up on top. I think Vegas does.
And I don't think it's the best thing.
Yeah. And you know what? I know they miss White Cloud. I think they miss him a lot, really. I mean,
Martinez.
And Martinez. Yeah, you get those two back and your defensive core looks totally different. And I don't think it's typically like just the defense of the Golden Knights that's allowing these goals, though. It's really that it's the rush chances against, it's the turning over of pucks, it's the 4 men deep in a zone. Like Leonard was absolutely hooped last night on the rushes. Like it was, I remember just going, oh God, here comes another. Please don't go. He's my fantasy goal. I'm going, please don't go in. Please. Oh, not another. Oh, please hit him. Like, because usually typically in a game you're probably going to get 2 to 4 odd man rushes, maybe like 3-on-2s, maybe a 2-on-1 or a breakaway. And that first period, I felt like there were 8 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And he saved most of them. And I'm just like,
that's been a consistent Golden Knights game this year. It's been too many.
It has. And it's concerning, man.
Explain that Tkachuk goal to us.
Well, it goes behind and like, like when it goes behind the net like that first, when there's a guy that's on your peripheral. So like if I'm putting myself in Leonard's shoes here, like he's pretty much on his post down in a RVH, which is what he should be doing in that scenario. Tkachuk wasn't even in front of the goal line. I think if we looked at it, his feet were pretty much on the goal line, and his stick wasn't even really in a shooting lane. It was behind the goal line. Like when you see that out of your peripheral, you don't identify that as a threat typically. And then when the puck heads to him right away and he goes between his legs right inside the post and he goes between his legs to gain the angle quickly. Like you can't mentally get your head there fast enough to process it because it doesn't happen unless it's Matt Tkachuk. And there are more players that are doing these types of moves, but like that used to be forbidden. Like somebody would come take your head off if you did that. Like,
which is stupid, but
I do like listen. I do Sirius XM occasionally with Shane O'Brien, old defenseman from the National Hockey League. Oh. And I'll tell you right now, if Obi saw you do that, he would have ripped your head off back in the day, like that. And he's not alone. That's how the league was. And now players aren't afraid to do it. So you've got something that we haven't seen as goaltenders in really ever, and it happened that quickly. And it's between his legs and it. Like. It was pretty sick. I mean, I'm really out of the goals last night that Leonard allowed. The one I didn't like, which one was it? The high shorts. I actually didn't like the first goal of the game. The tic-tac-toe play. I thought Leonard was down early on it. And because of that, he wasn't able to just move to the middle on that shot. But from there, other than that, man, that was a pretty gnarly game from a goaltending perspective.
That play scares me a bit too, in kind of what it's going.
And like
the way the Golden Knights play is that if you can fake a shot and show a pass, they're going to lay in front of it. They're going to put their knee down in front of it, and you can move them around and manipulate them. And I thought that was an answer to a problem that the Golden Knights present, that you don't want these things on tape.
No, and I mean, Nick Hague struggled a bit since he's been back. And you saw it last night again. Like when he comes back, he's looked like it's been the reads. Like you're going to the same guy. You're double covering. Like you're abandoning the front, and it just looks like there's a little bit of indecision there. Which, yeah, man, I really root for him. I really like that dude, man. But like, there's times where I just think like his foot speed has still not really progressed, and at times like the decision making hasn't gotten to where you need it to be. But when you let him play consistent minutes with Petro, he's fine most of the time. Most of the time,
which most of the time scary for a defenseman.
Yeah, I mean, Theo had a tough night, and he'd been playing really well lately, I thought too. And we say lately, even with a time off, but like I've seen Theo make stretch passes. I've seen him skate the puck into the zone and move to the middle of the ice. Finally, it's more of that. But when things get sideways, you start seeing him spinning around, looking at his feet, and the puck's in the back of the net. And there's another dash. It's a bad look. But so much of that is because the Golden Knights just want to get the puck back at all times. Pressure the puck, get the puck. Pressure the puck, get the puck. And if they're not on top of the game, if they're a little bit tired, that's where you lose it mentally. Two guys go to the same place, and then you have players open like Gaudreau who will make you look foolish. No other way around it.
How many times have you been to Calgary?
The old Saddle Dome?
Probably not a half dozen.
Because have you seen what the Golden Knights were up to today after they were at Calgary? I'm assuming this is somewhere near Calgary. This is what they were doing today. I don't know about the VGK worldwide awesome. When you are the Golden Knights.
That's amazing.
How you're worldwide. But yeah, that's pretty awesome, right?
Yes, man. I wonder if they're up by like Lake Louise or Banff, it kind of looks like. Oh, man. Maybe that's what the doctor, like they have so much time off until their next game. All right. That makes me happy.
White gloves. I'm so happy they brought white gloves for this picture. It looks so much better.
Yeah.
But Ken, this is the stuff you sort of call
Lake Louise, people are saying. Yes.
It is Lake Louise, yeah.
This is what Ken is always kind of asked more for the Golden Knights. He wants more team events, team unity. I mean, this is one of them.
I think this one, I mean, that's like a trip. I would like to know a little bit more about kind of what went down in that. I think one of the things that has been lacking since the first year for the Golden Knights, and maybe it would have been there in the second year after the not a major thing, maybe possible, but I do think they've been lacking that like calling card thing that kind of drags them all together. The Gloria, the Columbus Blue Jackets beat us in the first round, like F the Pittsburgh Penguins, they beat us every time. Like I don't know that they have that calling card thing, and to be honest, maybe 10 million over the cap is that thing. Like it kind of maybe a little bit was for Tampa last year, and maybe that is that thing, and if they can lean into it, but I don't think they're going to lean into it. I think they'll just it's not a thing. They'll continue to not have a ton of personality from them, and I think it's missing, and I think it would make them a little bit better if they had a little bit more of that. I'm not saying they're not a team. I think they could use something like that.
I question how much of it's just done publicly, I guess. Knowing how tight that team is and how much they love to play together and live in Vegas and be able to do things there, I'm not sure it's as big a deal, especially because Vegas has so many things to do, but you haven't had much of that in the last couple of years. And that's where I think that this is your chance to do something like that. So I'd be very cautious to critique them on that without knowing the inner workings myself or being in that room and making a judgment call on it. But to your point, you can't do enough of that stuff.
Right. I'm not sure it's a critique. I don't maybe, but I think the bigger piece of it is like, that hasn't been there. And like, there hasn't been that one thing. And like you're saying, oh, maybe they're not public about it. I would push back saying that if that one thing does exist and it's strong enough, it has to come into the public view. The misfit thing that was under wraps for half the season, but eventually it finds its way in.
Yeah. Yeah. That type of stuff is my favorite, man. When you'd plan an off day somewhere and you'd get a chance to just go have some fun.
Yeah. And we've heard great stories about them.
Yeah. And unique things.
Beach volleyball was a good one the first year that they talked about. That was a lot of fun, that they had a huge tournament and they were all jazzed about that. They did the Cirque du Soleil thing, which I think was pretty neat that first year. It's stuff like that I do think matters over the course of a season. And this team seems to be lacking some of that, or at least, I guess, lacking telling their fans about it. Like we've said this about DeBoer forever, that he doesn't come across as a horribly likable person a lot of the times. And then he goes to the All-Star game and says he's hung over on the bench.
Yeah, and he goes and has a couple toddies and shows up half in the bag, and life's good. But
and all of a sudden, that's kind of starting to see, and I think you will see it. The belief and the view of what Pete DeBoer is, I think, is going to shift a little bit here because of that little moment.
I haven't been shy about this. I really wish the Golden Knights would let their players loosen up with social media, because I cannot believe that there isn't some warning out there about it. I don't see them use it often.
They're clearly
in any way.
There
has to be a mandate about it. And I don't know, man. I whenever I played, I wanted the fans to feel like they were I wanted the fans on my side, straight up. I wanted to feel like I had a connection to the fans. That's half the reason why I use social media, man, is because I just enjoyed it. I liked interacting with people, as you can tell. But you know what? That made a difference for me in my career. Like a plug like me that really nobody could give a shit about. Like I'd get called up to NHL teams. Oh, this is crazy. I remember I got called up to Dallas. Maybe it was Ottawa. Okay. I can't even, it wasn't Dallas. It was my last year pro. And I can't remember where we showed up. It was in Dallas. Okay. So I was with Ottawa in Dallas and I show up and there's like 4 Mike McKenna signs along the glass in warmups. Okay. And guys, I'm an absolute nobody, right? Like nobody. And I remember guys looking and just being like, what? Like, I was like,
how? Yeah.
It's like, man, what can I say? There's a lot of Mike McKenna fans out there. But the reason being is that I'd go to these buildings, and that's actually a lie to say there's a lot of, but I had passionate fans, like of me. You know why? Because I would respond to them.
They know you. They feel like they know you. Yeah.
And I, after practice, I would stand and sign autographs until people were gone, because that's the Stan Musial way, man. That's what you do. Like, it's your job. Just be nice to people.
And
like
now there's autographed cards on StubHub that you sign so many of them that are not StubHub, on the eBay, that are like 42 cents, where if you just never signed autographs for anyone, they'd be like $42.
I can't help it that the market's diluted. I just sign what I'm asked and I got paid for it to sign them. But I think that's something that's missing. And I think that the teams that really do a good job with their social media and the players that do, I think it helps the fan engagement, because it's not that same special Golden Knights team any longer. Like, this is a team that needs an injection of personality into the community. These fans need to feel connected to these players, because, I mean, next year when Riley's gone, who's going to be left? There's not many left. There's been a lot of turnover.
And what's going to help them to really inject that personality and make people really love them that much more? Circumventing the salary cap.
Well, it will if they have a parade.
But are you going to the chicken and the egg here? You're going to win the parade if people, I don't know.
I know.
All right, let's make some picks. There's one game between now and the next goalie interference, which is next Thursday, not Wednesday. They had all these rescheduled games on Wednesdays, jerks, getting in the way of goalie interference. But we got one game in between now and then. It's a home game against Colorado. I do think it has a little bit of importance, because you do not want to lose another game that makes you feel like you've lost 4 when you've actually only lost 2, because that's what it feels like in hockey when you lose for a week straight. Let's make our picks here. What do we got?
Okay, Jason, what you going with?
I'll start here. I'm a little worried. So Colorado looks really good tonight. They're playing the Lightning, right? The Golden Knights have not played well off big gaps of time, right? I think Mike said that earlier.
Yes.
I'm a little worried about that. And then more importantly, I'm really worried if Leonard is starting in net and they lose that game. I just think the anger from fans right now being directed towards Leonard is a little unfair. And I think that if he loses that game, it's going to be very noticeable.
I like the Golden Knights in this game based largely on Colorado's schedule coming into it. They're playing in Dallas the night before, and then they're playing in Vegas the next night. And that's a really hard travel. I mean, that's 2.5 or 3 hour flight almost. Like, that's a lot. And I share all your same concerns, Jason. And Colorado can play. I think Colorado will be awake by the second period. It's just if the Golden Knights can jump on them. And they haven't been great starting this year. So I'm going to take the Golden Knights in this one. I'm going to say 4-3. And I don't know how it's going to happen. I can't predict if this is going to be, well, good pick, Chase. We're thinking the same. I don't know if it's going to be regulation, shootout, whatever. I think 4-3 Vegas, and I think it's a lot to ask for Colorado doing that swing with Dallas. And I think Vegas should be able to have some bodies that are a little healthier by then too.
All right, here's my pick. Here we go. Ready for this?
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
I'm going to be shocked by this. I think the Golden Knights are going to stomp them.
All right.
I think they're absolutely going to stomp them. And the reason I think that is because I think Colorado has to adjust the way that they play to play against the way that the Golden Knights play. And I don't think they're going to be ready to do that quickly enough, playing a back-to-back, playing a one-off game in the middle of the regular season here. I think they can do it come playoff time if they get the coaching to actually figure it out. I know you like that coach. I don't. At least I don't like his history of what he's done in the playoffs. I don't think that they're going to come into this game with a plan of how they're going to attack the Golden Knights and how they're going to beat the Golden Knights. And I think that if the Golden Knights play a buttoned up game, which I assume that they will do coming off this shit show of last night, and I would argue the shit show of both the last two nights, I think they're going to absolutely slam them. And I think it's going to be like one of those games where they outshoot them 45-13 or something. I don't think it'll be that bad, but it'll be really bad. And I think they win the game about 4 or 5-1.
Wow.
What if Jack Eichel is in the lineup?
Don't think it makes a huge difference. I think he's going to be himself. I don't think that they're going to put him immediately in with a massive amount of responsibility. Like, I don't see him instantly going in and getting 22 minutes against the opposing top line. I don't think they're going to put him up against, especially in a home game. They'll keep him away from McKinnon, Landeskog, Granton, and that type of situation. I think they're going to kind of ease him back in. So in that case, they're going to be, leaning on the guys that they're used to leaning on. And I think that they know, these Golden Knights players know, like, we play the right way, we play the right system against this team, they'll bang their heads into the wall until they hand us chances. And that's what I think is going to happen again. They're going to struggle to get through the neutral zone, and Vegas will take advantage of it and smoke them.
He picks up a point.
I like the matchup. I don't disagree. Like, Vegas handled them last year in playoffs, but this Colorado team they're stacked.
They're good, but they were stacked a year ago.
Yeah. They haven't gotten blown out this year, though.
4-1's not necessary.
I take it back. Toronto wiped them 8-3. So there is some precedence here. It could happen. They have had some loose games this year, but that was also when Kemper wasn't playing great. I made a bold prediction last week when I was on XM, and I said Pavel Francouz will be the starting goalie for the Colorado Avalanche come playoff time.
You don't think they'll make a trade?
I think I know that they're exploring. But my guess is that they're going to have a hard time getting somebody they like better than Kemper anyway, who's been good lately. Better lately, I should say. And I think either through injury or through the play of Francouz, he'll end up being the guy. Just one of those wild hair things. I don't know.
All right, we made it 1 hour and 7 minutes, and we cannot finish up this episode of Goalie Interference without talking about your cap. Franklin Barbecue, what a place. Tell us about Franklin Barbecue.
Well, so back when I was playing for the Austin Stars, the Texas Stars, the farm team of the Dallas Stars, decided that I need to make a pilgrimage, and I'm going to go to the barbecue mecca of the entire United States, largely the world, I would say. And Aaron Franklin is somebody who began with a small truck in Texas. He does his brisket strictly with salt and pepper. That's it. Controls the heat, controls the smoke. He built his own smokers out of old propane tanks. And several years before we were there, the place almost burned to the ground, which was not a good thing. They'd since rebuilt. Well, they're known for having long lines that nobody gets the opportunity to skip the line for. You may wait 2 to 3 hours by the time you get there. So my daughter and I decided we've got a day off from school. I can't remember why preschool wasn't in session. I had a day off from practice that day. It may have been a Monday or a Tuesday, and we decided we're going. We're going to bring the wagon. We're going to bring your iPad just in case. We're going to bring Connect 4. We're going to bring all the board games. And we went, and we met some young people from Australia and Alabama, and even as far as Oregon, waiting in line with us at Franklin Barbecue in Austin, Texas. And as we made our way forward, none other than Aaron Franklin himself started to work the room. We'd waited in line for 2 hours, showed up about 9 a.m. By about 11:15, we had our brisket in front of us, along with our ribs and along with our pulled pork. And Mr. Franklin walked up and said hello, and he gave my daughter a pin. And it was a lovely day. We ate barbecue at Austin, at Franklin Barbecue. We took home another 3 pounds. And it was a great experience. I've never been so happy to wait in line and enjoy waiting in line like I did that day with all our new friends from Alabama and Australia and Oregon.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I did not know it was closed the day that I was available to eat lunch when I was in Austin for 28 hours or something.
Yeah.
So we went to Terry Black's, and Terry Black's was spectacular. So I can only imagine how great Franklin barbecue is. But we can't finish on that when we're talking about food. If we're going to make people hungry, remember that every time that the Golden Knights win, you can go to Giordano's, say Knights win, and they'll give you 20% off your check by dining in, because we've talked about all this amazing food, and they have fantastic food there. Someone tweeted at me yesterday that they were getting spaghetti at Giordano's. I didn't even know they had spaghetti. I need to study the menu a little bit more, but it doesn't just have to be pizza. Fantastic stuff. And
but you have to scream Knights win.
Chase is absolutely right. Franklin's brisket on a Giordano's pizza would be out of this world. Maybe we need to make that happen.
What else would you wait in line? What else would you wait in line for 2 hours for, Mike?
Roller coasters.
Okay, fair enough.
I've done it before. I've done it before for grand openings of roller coasters.
Any other food?
Oh, for an iconic something. I don't. That's a whole culture of barbecue, though, isn't it? Like waiting in line is kind of like it
is
part of it. I could legitimately see myself waiting in line for ice cream if it was like a summer day and it was a place that was as like world renowned as like a Franklin. I could handle that. Like a nice, like crisp summer evening, you know, outside, just hanging with your girl. Like I could do that. But
you're a lot more
it wouldn't give me the meat sweats. It wouldn't give me the meat sweats the same way as Franklin barbecue, man.
you guys have a nice ice cream weather there in rural St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, you get to be like it's 80 degrees or so is like the wheelhouse. 80, maybe 80.
What is it like right now in St. Louis? Because it's like 60 here.
Yeah, we're hovering, dude. It's hilarious. I always have to like convert temperature for all my Canadian friends, and they never even know how to convert. I'm like -30 divided by 2, guys. It is.
So wait, you keep your temperature in Celsius on your phone?
God, no, I'm American, man. I got an American flag on my arm.
This is America.
I'm just saying, like, so like when I go do stuff on Sirius XM, it's in Canada a lot. So I can like flip it. And so it's 37 degrees here in St. Louis right now. Tomorrow we got a high of 55, and we did have like, when I was gone, we got like 8 inches of snow. So I missed all the snow this year, which sucked. I wanted to go sledding with my daughters, but work called in Vegas.
Are you enjoying all this artificial snow in Beijing?
Those games are goofy. My buddy Jeremy Smith's playing goalie for China. This guy's from Livonia, Michigan. His dad used to build cars for Ford. Like he played in China for 4 years. He's a citizen. He's their goalie.
I missed that game, U.S. against Canada. I saw
You didn't miss much
on goal, which
Smitty put on a show. He allowed 8, but he put on an absolute show.
That a boy.
Yeah, but he plays for China now. So
yes, Vicky, it was 77 degrees here in Vegas today.
And somebody just said Jenny's Splendid Ice Cream in Columbus. I totally agree. That's some of my favorite ice cream. I've been to Cedar Point. There's a whole lot of good stuff in the thread. So I always love to see the comments. We got to make sure we keep those coming in next week, everybody. Those are fun.
All right. That's it for this edition of Goalie Interference. Thanks again to the Jimerson Law Firm. We'll be back next Thursday with, of course, Mike McKenna from Daily Faceoff. And apparently we can't miss any of your shows anymore because we don't know when Frank Saravalli or Mike McKenna is going to drop a bomb on us and change our entire day. I was driving to lunch. I'm like, boom, bomb. Day changed. That's what
I'll be on again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Daily Faceoff.
Everyone. See you next week.
Love you, Jim.